Yo, welcome to another Strategic Noncompliance. Unfortunately, it is just me, Bunny Boots Inc. here. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with Mike Bluehair. He might be out busy filming or rescuing another activist out there. So I get to run all the controls, even on Mike Bluehair's channel. Well, not really. I'm able to only stream to his channel, so he'll have to fix up the title and all that stuff if you're watching from his channel over there. Hello everyone, and as is, oh man, it's been busy this week, especially with that shooting going on over in Florida. And also, I think I'm gonna open up the ability for here in a little bit for people that want to hop in and chat with me or have a discussion about something. Go ahead and pop in over to my Discord on my channel. If you're watching on Twitch, there should be a link in the box. If you're watching on YouTube on my channel, there should be a link in the thing. For Discord, if you know how to set that up and all that, get in there, get in the public voice hangout, and I might drag you over to the live stream voice chat area, and we can have a discussion. Oh, let's see, Liquid X83, Santa Cruz, California PD. They even have no video recording inside the public lobby. Interesting. That's quite the thing. And hello over there on Mike Bluehair's channel, Cop Warriors from GTA 5, PS4, and Tony Solando. What's up, my Negro? Dang! You got me on that one. I'm going to have to delete the VOD now from Twitch after all this. Oh well, that happens. Anyway, yeah, that is a funny troll. Moving on here. I wonder how many of you guys heard about what the sheriffs are talking about over in Florida. Now, let's see if I can get this to pop up properly on the things without too much hassle. Let's see here. Give me a moment here to switch over the window capture. Well, hold on. Well, let me see if I can even get the video to play. I've been having a hard time to see if I can get this video playing. Okay, there's motion, but come on, give me the video play, and then if I can get... Seriously, this site's a piece of crap. Okay, never mind on the news site. I was going to play some audio, but pretty much what is going on is they are talking over in the Broward Sheriff. They want to expand the ability of allowing involuntary detention through the use of the Baker Act, which essentially what the Baker Act breaks down to is they can hold you on a mental health evaluation for X amount of period of time, and if they deem you a risk or whatever, they get that all figured out. Well, the thing is they're trying to say this would have prevented him from being a big, huge risk. But the problem is, though, I'm getting reports, and this guy was having, I mean, the reports in the news said that he's had voices in his head talking to him. He was into cutting, self-harm. And so it makes me wonder, why wasn't this person put into, wasn't already deemed a potential risk in the first place, or had some problems that would preclude him from being able to acquire firearms? And then also on top of that, where do you get the money to get the firearms? There is a lot of unanswered questions with the shooting over there. And right now, apparently, the legislature in Florida are looking to expand. But my question is, how much are you going to expand it in the direction? Also, they're wanting to expand it on the on social media, what you put down on social media. And so the question is okay, if I'm sitting there shitposting on social media, making jokes with my buddies and all that stuff, and all of a sudden am I going to be at risk of having the cops roll in because I made some tasteless joke to my buddies about shooting up a school or shooting up some other thing? Because when you're sitting there and you're playing video games with your friends or something like that, or shooting the shit kind of thing, you're bound to make stupid comments, stupid statements. It happens to every single one of us. And yet, the question is, if there is actually no intent of harm, how are they going to deduce that? And then if you do get hauled in for involuntary confinement, there's also been stipulations put into place in the past where if you've been hauled in, you can't own a firearm, even if it was the people that had you hauled in were in the wrong. So my word of advice to those legislatures: think carefully about how you institute all that stuff, because if you push too far on the social media posting aspect to where it violates First Amendment rights, guess what might happen? You might have the entire Baker Act invalidated because someone sued over that, or someone pushed a lawsuit, or it could get thrown out in the criminal courts if it gets pushed up high enough. Be careful about that, because we've seen these kinds of things happen in the past where laws get invalidated completely and the legislature had to rush to refix them. Like, I can't remember which state it was, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago with prostitution. Oh, let's see. And of course, we got some interesting comments in the Mike Blue Hairs chat there. I can only see a limited thing on his chat. I don't have like his chat window up. I'm using this little the pop-up thing that I use to watch my chat. What future goals would you like to see done? The boy's innocent. We got to get him out of that prison and get him some safe. I don't think he's necessarily innocent. There's quite a bit of damning evidence against him, so he's probably best off where he's at. And as is, there's all kinds of contradictory statements, but I'm gonna leave it up to the police investigation, in my opinion, that see what happens on all of this, because it sounds like to me this kid's got some seriously messed up stuff that's been reported in the news. Or actually, I shouldn't be referred to him as a kid. He's 19 years old. He's an adult. So he's pretty much where he needs to be right there. And is there anybody that has hopped into Discord? Nope, no one's on the Discord, so moving on. Well, we did get a sort of a tyrant alert, but I don't really agree with the whole thing. And yes, hello, what was it, Dana DeGraw? Yeah, DeGraw. Nice to have some more audience members out of Alaska. Now let me see. Oh yeah, that's right. I had that over here. And let me see if about getting this one played up. Okay, there we go. Now let's see if I can get this into scene. Let's add a new window here. Let's see here. Now let me try to get this put in. And remember, I'm working to streaming software, so every action I have to do has to be duplicated here. Oh, excellent. It just went right onto that. I don't need the cursor for this. And now to do this, and I'll transition this. Oh, wait, I need to move you down behind all this, and then now I got to repeat the same thing over here. Where's my editor? Add new window. Window capture. And Mike Bluehair, if you're listening, I already sent you the Hangouts link so you can get in here. So, and no, add new source. We need to. Of course, that's grabbing that. Ah, here we go. Excellent. And then I just need to drag you down below all these other ones here to the proper spot. Ah, here we go. So, what we got going on here, I watched this already, and I've already been starting into debates on the chat here. Are bunny boots like bunny slippers? I've always wondered. Never hear he was such a good kid. Never would have guessed they would have done such a thing. Yes, it's quite often interesting to hear those arguments all the time. Let's see. Bunny Boots has a video about how he came up with his name. Yes, I do have a video on that part. Dual screen cords. One is one button. Well, I'm working. It's not like necessarily like that. How should I put it? But let's go ahead and take a look at this Tyrant Alert brought to us by Central Cali News Network, and I'm going to give some public criticism about this one. So...
What's that? He's taking some pictures. What's that? I'm gonna answer your question. I'm just taking pictures, man.
Of what?
Whatever I can see.
Why?
Public.
No, you're not in public. You're on private property.
This is private?
This is private.
Isn't it open to public?
Doesn't matter. It's still private property.
Really? Are you a police officer?
Security guard for here.
Oh, okay.
So now you can get off the property.
I'm cool. I'm doing something here.
Well, now you're not. And
Yes,
now I'm
I
giving
am.
you a trespass warning.
How?
Because I didn't give you permission to take my picture.
I don't need your permission.
You're on private property.
This is open to public.
And now I'm telling you can't be here.
Okay. Can you step
So
away
you
from
can
me?
get off property or you can go in handcuffs.
I can go in handcuffs?
Yes. You're being
Aren't
given
you a
trespass
security?
warning. Trespass warning.
You want to arrest me?
Trespass warning. Get off property.
Call the police.
They're already on their way. You
Okay.
can join him in the back of the car if you like.
Let's see.
You have no right to be here. You're not conducting any official business. You can get off the property. You understand me?
I just went to the store, man. I had to do some shopping.
All right, now let's stop right here, guys. Okay, what is the number one problem you see with what's going on? I need to ask. Let's get some opinions here. Now I'll give it a few seconds here for you guys to chime in with some thoughts, specifically up until this point. Now, and then I'll give my opinion. Because I see a glaring issue here on the auditor's part, or tester, the guy that's filming, the camera guy. And as is, make sure I remember, the Central Cali News Network, this is criticism. You're going to be getting, throughout your entire time being on YouTube and all that stuff, you're going to receive negative criticism, well, positive and negative criticism all the time. The best thing is to learn from it and try not to let it beat you down too much. Oh, wait, I hear some noise. Did someone finally pop in? Oh, yeah. What do you know? Well, Mike seems to have turned on his camera here. Mike, you're late. Can you hear me, Mike? Hold on, let me turn on my thing and see if he... Camera here. Come on, Mike. Yeah, I know you should be able to see my ass here. Yo! Mike, can you hear me? Ah. Mike! 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 Mike, you able to hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Mike.
I can hear you, but it's breaking up really bad. Like, I'm having a lot of internet issues on my end. It's one of the reasons why I started so late. Give me a second to mess with my internet. I might disconnect it and reconnect again, okay?
Yeah. Also, if you're having issues with the internet and all that stuff, turn off your video. It eats up bandwidth. Audio,
yeah, where's the button?
It's the camera right next to the hang-up.
Oh, I gotcha. Hold on. Well, there we go.
Yeah. So, anyway, continuing on. Okay, what the big issue is, the guy is on private property of a mall. Now, he's in the state of California, where they do have case law about semi-public areas, such as that mall. Now, I don't know the specifics all on that issue with this, and if you don't have the knowledge beforehand to be able to verbally challenge the security guard in that regard, in that aspect, the best thing you can do is go ahead and leave the private property and get onto the public sidewalk and continue filming from there. And if the guard is truly working for the people that is, well, for the owner of that property, and is supposed to be representing them, they can legally trespass you. And so his mistake in this video is refusing to vacate. Now, as I stated, the exception, of course, is that semi-public thing, which I don't have much knowledge. The only other exception I know about would be if there's a government office that you're planning to go to that is being that is leasing space on that. Like, let's say there's a library there, or maybe the DMV is also in that mall. Maybe there's a police substation that you got to go visit. That's where things get a lot more iffier, and it's it becomes gray. It's muddled. There's no really big defining issue defining case law on that specific issue. But the mistake he made was refusing to leave, and he could have. I mean, he could have easily, at the end of this video, ended up in handcuffs by an actual cop, but that didn't happen. We'll go ahead and continue playing this out.
I saw you guys, and what do you mean?
If I walked up and started taking pictures to you, would you like it?
You can do it, man. Pull out your camera and start doing it.
That's not the point.
This is my freedom of speech, freedom of press. You understand? Really?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I'm still having problems. You're breaking up. I'm gonna go out of the Google Hangout and see if I can hear you on my live dashboard for my YouTube. Okay, hold on for a second.
All right, I'm continue playing on this stuff.
Go ahead.
This is open to public.
Yes, it is. Up until an agent of the property tells you you can't be here.
For what reason?
Because you're not conducting any business.
Then get the cops here, get me trespassed from this property.
I am trespassing you from this property.
Where's your paper?
You now have 3 trespass warnings.
Okay.
One more, and I'm putting you in handcuffs.
Do you know the laws?
I do know the laws.
Now, here's the thing. They don't, if it's the actual owner of the property itself or a representative of the owner, they don't have to give you a paper document saying that you're trespassed. A verbal warning in most states, I'm not sure if it's the same for California there, but I'm pretty sure it is enough. If it's a one-on-one and they say you are trespassed, you are trespassed. So just keep that in mind on that aspect there. And let me give out the thank you Suzuki36 for subscribing to me.
Okay.
And when the cops get here, they can explain the law to you.
You need to back up, man. You're raising your voice, trying to intimidate me.
Have a good day.
Bro, you're security, man.
Last warning, sir. Please exit the property. You're not conducting anything. I'm giving you your warning. Are you going to comply?
You want to speak to my lawyer?
I don't need to speak to your lawyer.
I'm going to call him right now for you.
And he'll tell you. You're on private property.
I know the laws, dude. I do this all the time. I'm a journalist, man. I can gather any information on freaking... This is open to public. I can take a picture of anything I can, bro.
Do you have your ID that says you're press?
You're nobody, man. It's my First Amendment right. You cannot stop me from filming. You understand?
Do you have a press ID?
Dude, you need to back up, man. You guys need to do your job, dude.
And
I don't need
my job.
I have my First Amendment. I have my First Amendment right.
Are you going to leave like I'm asking? I'm asking you nicely. I've explained the reason why. Are you going to comply?
I'm gonna go on the public property. Move.
Okay, you can go on public property.
This is on-sale security for you.
Let's get this ahead here.
Right by the street, man. That's the sidewalk. This is open to public. You see, by the way. There are like.
Hold on.
This is called McHenry Village, by the way. There are like hundreds of stores here.
You said something right
See
before
that?
that.
This is called McHenry Village, by the way. There are like hundreds of stores here.
Yeah, well... Okay, now here's one thing. Here's where I have a problem with the security officer.
Dude, this is open to public, bro. Right?
Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
You're not an officer. You need to
You're
back up.
under
Don't
arrest.
touch me. Don't
You
touch
are
me.
under arrest.
Don't,
Turn
get,
around.
Get the hey, get
Come
the
here.
hands off me. Hey, what are you doing?
You're under arrest.
For what? For what?
I told you, stay out.
You're nothing, man. Hey, are you an officer? I'm open to the public, sir. I'm not doing anything. I'm just taking a picture.
Stay out of the road.
Is this open to public or not? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's his name?
Now, here's the thing. Yes, that may have been an issue of trespass, but there's certain limits that security guards have when it comes to putting their hands on others and stuff like that. And let me go ahead and make that Heidi. There we go. And so that is what we're looking at right now. Is the guy that was with the camera? He wasn't all in the right. Let's see. Enclosed, cultivated without written permission from the owners. Authorized agent is guilty of trespass. Further, uncultivated, unclosed land with signs forbidding trespass at intervals not less than 3 miles along exterior of the road and trails is also considered trespassing. Yeah, let's see. And the thing is that I think the guards were in the wrong for trying to arrest him. Now, they should, I mean, they could easily have escorted him off the property, and that would have resolved the issue. The thing is, he didn't have, to my knowledge at this point, I mean, in my opinion, the right to remain on the property and continue filming. He wasn't on any public easement. He was in the parking lot where traffic can drive in and park. Where he was allowed to be at after he got trespassed is that sidewalk, where he wasn't at initially. And Mike, you finally get your audio thing resolved? Is it working a lot better?
I hear.
Kill
it
the
sounds
video
like
and
somebody trying to perform fellatio underwater. That's all I can hear.
Kill the video, man. Just kill it.
It doesn't matter. I'm on a fiber optic internet connection. I killed the video. Okay, talk.
Okay, this is a test of the emergency broadcast system of BBI, who is chastising you for using the video when you have crappy internet and seeing if it will fix it.
No, it still sounds like someone's trying to give someone a blowjob in a hot tub.
We really need to work on some tech because we need to... You know what? This weekend we need to get you set up on Discord. I think that probably would, because if you're not able to use at least your wired, you might be able to use your cell phone internet and use very little bandwidth.
My wired internet is a fiber optic connection.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on this part. I mean, if
Yeah.
you want, I could try to start a new Hangouts and see if that fixes it, but...
Let's try that, please. Let's just send me
Okay.
another link through Facebook and see if it helps.
Got it, guys. All right, well, give me a minute here. We're going to go ahead and be on the right back as we're dealing with our technical issues. Okay, here, give me a moment, blah, blah, blah. In fact, actually, what I'll do is also start up the music again, so while we wait. Can you hear me?
Talk again? Yeah, talk again.
Test, 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 test.
You're perfect. You're perfect.
Okay. Okay, bringing us back in, and give me a moment here. Whoops, I better pause. Okay, no, I didn't pause that. Okay, pause that, and then let's get us transitioned back over on yours. Let me get mine fixed up over here. Okay, good. That is all working.
It'll start right back into my YouTube feed, right?
I've been streaming into your YouTube feed since I started.
I know, because I scheduled it to start. Weren't we supposed to start at 6?
No, we said 5.
No, we said 6.
Oh, was it 6? Okay, I'm in the wrong. I tried to get a hold of you to make sure, so I set the wrong time. Dang it!
I know.
I screwed up on that one.
It's all right, man. Oh, we can just go a little bit over. I don't care.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have no problem sitting here until 7. So.
Oh, me either. I'll stay here until 8. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, Mike, do you have any opinion on the whole the video? Did you get a chance to see any part of the video I just did that we just looked at?
No.
Okay.
It was horrible. It was like yeah, I couldn't hear anything or see anything.
Got it. Okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about that part. I gave my opinion on that aspect, and I was waiting to see if anybody popped in on the live stream. What did you want to cover tonight, man?
Well, I wanted to talk about some local political issues. Robert West of FilmThePolice911.com. You can find him on the interweb people at Robert West on YouTube. The guy's like the Terminator of cop watching. He's literally got 7,000 police accountability videos up there, and I just don't know how he does it. Bob weighs about nearly 300 pounds. He's got respiratory issues, and he's like, you know, like some kind of cop watching machine. I just have no idea how he does it. But he had a chance to interview our new police chief, Miss Danielle Outlaw. She's basically, well, Portland has this sickness of neoliberalism in our city government, and basically she's a glorified diversity hire. Danielle Outlaw was hired, in my humble opinion, for her tampon and melanin in her skin quota, so that our ultra liberal political elites could parade her in front of them and basically, you know, get brownie points for hiring a black woman. You know, kudos. You know, black check, woman check. Okay, you know, we're a diverse city. Now per capita, there's a joke that goes around in local politics here that we call ourselves Whitelandia, because there's blacks represent about 13 or 14% of the American population. In Portland, in Whitelandia, they represent about 6 or 7% of the population. So it was really important to get her hired. But Bob was able to ask her some questions after a city meeting just a few days ago. And I would like to do the screen share thing if I could, and show that to people at home.
Yeah, go ahead. It should easily pop in, and then I can of course adjust the window.
Do I do that through the Google Hangouts?
Yeah, oh well, you wouldn't get the audio. I'd probably have to do it. Send me a link to it, and I'll get that set up for us. How about that?
Oh well, it's on my desktop.
Oh, it's on your desktop.
Yeah, I haven't uploaded it to the web yet. Is there any way we can do that?
Well, the problem is you can play it, but we're not going to get the audio. I don't think.
No.
You can go ahead and try to play it and see if we get the audio.
Okay, let's try. Okay.
Yeah, let's go. Go ahead and give it a share and just give it a play real fast and see if we can get it to get the audio through.
Okay, where do I go in? Do I go in the Google Live dashboard, or the YouTube Live dashboard is the screen share tool?
Hangouts window, three dots, upper right part.
I gotcha. Okay, share screen. That's pretty easy. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
No, I can't.
Oh yeah, your entire screen. Yes. Here we go. So share. Okay.
Okay, and then I'll just move the window capture up one here and up one over here. That's right, I gotta drag it. There we go. Okay, we are looking at your screen. Completely.
Nice. So I'm about to play Bob doing a interview, or trying to interview our brand new diversity hire from Oakland, California, Chief Daniel Outlaw, and I'm hoping the audio will play, and we'll find out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We got audio, but it's quiet.
Is it working?
It's working, but it's really, really quiet. So
okay.
I can amplify it on my end, but if you say anything, you're going to blow out everybody's eardrums. Just remember that.
Okay, then I will let it play, and then I'll pause it, and after I pause, turn the volume down for a little bit, and then I'll do commentary, okay? So people understand the context of why Bob is asking her these various questions, okay?
All right, give me 3 seconds then when you hit the pause. Got it?
Perfect.
So Daniel Outlaw, are you going to bring Oakland-style policing to Portland? Also, the other question is, do you encourage your officers to lie about cop watchers and anti-stalking hearings?
Okay, I turned you down.
Cool. So the reason why Bob was asking our police chief, our brand new diversity hire, as I call her, from Oakland, does she encourage her officers to lie in stalking hearings, is because she actually filed a anti-stalking order against a cop watcher out here in Oregon by the name of Eli. You can find his work on Son of Hightower on YouTube. And it was absolutely ridiculous. In Oregon, you have to prove 2 or more unwanted contacts in a stalkery, sort of harassing sort of way that put a person in a state of fear. And during that trial, they had the head of Portland Police Bureau's Criminal Intelligence Unit get on the witness stand and perjure himself multiple times. He said things like, not only, well, I'll get into that in a second, but one of the biggest bits of perjury he did was he said that Bob, myself, Eli, and Christopher Ryan Ponte are all part of the same group called Cop Watch, and that we encourage people to stalk and put officers' lives in danger. So he got up on the stand and lied. We're all independent news outlets and independent groups separate from each other. But the way he characterized it on the witness stand, perjuring himself, as if though we're some kind of, intelligence gathering organization for cop stalkers. Like, it's just so infuriating that, that's why Bob asked her that question that way. And the reason why he asked her about Oakland style policing in Portland is because Oakland is notoriously violent and their police force is notoriously brutal. Some of my history for people on your side of the equation there, Bunny Boots, is I spent nearly 15 years of my life homeless, and I'd say about 7 years of that was in between San Francisco and Oakland. So, long story short, I've had my nose bloodied by Oakland cops. I've been kicked by Oakland cops. I've had Oakland cops cut into my tent with a knife just to destroy my property, so I would have to be cold in the rain. I've woken up in the middle of the night with a boot on my chest and looking up at a Oakland cop aiming his 9mm at my face, screaming expletives at me while I'm being blinded by a tactical flashlight. I mean, the place is like, basically, people are terrified of Oakland cops if you're not well off, if you're not in a social position to where you have power. Oakland is just a wrong place. So Portland needs Oakland-style policing about as much as we need clouds of angry bees, swarming maternity wards, emptying the blood from infants. It's just horrible. But I'll continue on with the other things that Bob tried to ask Police Chief Outlaw. So get ready to jack the volume, okay, Bunny?
Got it.
Chief Outlaw, do you encourage officers to lie to courts about anti-stalking orders against cop watchers? Well, I find that you no,
seriously,
why
would I encourage anyone to lie?
Well, I believe that officers lie.
Okay, I'm turning it down, and there we go. We're about right.
So at this point, Outlaw starts answering questions with questions. So I'm just going to answer your questions there, Chief Outlaw, for you. The reason why you would lie is the same reason that you got the city attorney, which is a flagrant conflict of interest, to use against Eli at your stalking hearing. See, it's the city attorney's job to limit legal liability for the city. So it was a flagrant conflict of interest from the beginning, and the nature that the entire narrative that was spun by this power shark that works for the city was that Eli is stalking you and he has a fixation with you. And then you had the head of Portland Police Bureau's in Criminal Intelligence Unit get on the witness stand and use hearsay evidence gathered from police reports that should have been stricken down by the judge. Just this litany of lies that you condoned and planned out and scripted a narrative during your quote unquote stalking hearing. I mean, a little bit of background on Danielle Outlaw. She was a beat cop in Oakland, California. In Oakland, okay? Like, if anybody's ever lived there, they'd understand how crazy it is that she would say that a journalist walking up to her and asking her questions while she was armed and in uniform. Okay, she was wearing, at the time that Eli questioned her the first time, she was wearing a metal telescoping ass baton. She was wearing a mace. She was wearing a sidearm, and she was being accompanied by a plainclothes cop and another city employee. And the idea that she was saying that she was afraid of him is ridiculous. Like some of the stuff that was mentioned by the city attorney when the city attorney was trying to characterize Eli as some big scary monster looming over this poor innocent woman, is that she literally said that the squeaking of Eli's sneakers on the ground frightened Chief Outlaw. I mean, it's just so disturbing. So there's the answer to your question, Miss Outlaw. You obviously planned a litany of lies in in a court proceeding, having your underlings commit perjury. But aside from that, not very much. You know, there's no reason for you to do it at all. Okay, I'll keep going now, Bunny.
Okay.
In the Eli's case against you, and I know for a fact that the officer that filed the anti-stalking order, Captain Kruger, he lied about me in his case.
You talking about stuff before I even got here.
Well,
why would you say that?
You filed
stuff that happened before I even got here?
filed the anti-stalking order against Eli.
I certainly did. And if those court transcripts are available, everyone can read them for themselves and formulate their own.
Well,
the judge made a judgment.
I've ordered 2 of them, and both of them were edited.
Sure.
Yes, both of them were edited, and I find that interesting.
Well, I didn't do that.
Yeah, the other.
Hold on. Okay, back to normal.
Okay, here's the thing. Another command level Portland Police Bureau officer filed a stalking hearing against Bob. He's our resident Nazi in Portland Police Bureau. And I know it's really fashionable now for people on the left and Antifa to throw around the Nazi word, but I have to give a little bit of background. Our vice captain that's in charge of setting policy for how drugs and vice, which is a aspect of Portland policing that disproportionately deals with Hispanic and black folks, is a literal Nazi, and I can prove it. You know, all you got to do is check out the links underneath this video, and I link to corporate news stories about this guy. He claims that he likes history and likes to reenact history, and that's why you can find images of him on Google image search wearing Nazi uniforms. He was also officially disciplined for bringing dishonor to the Bureau, in quotes. This is what the, at the time, police chief Mike Reese had to say about it, for setting up 4 placards to fallen SS soldiers in a park in southeast Portland. So the guy likes to prance around in Nazi uniforms. He actually went to one of the castles that Hitler married Eva Braun in. That's where he decided to marry his wife. You know, that's not like red flags or anything, but like, you know, that was the cop that Bob was wanting to go and ask questions. So he went and knocked on Captain Mark Kruger's door, and he didn't even come outside. So if you ask a cop, you know, why do you like to prance around in Nazi uniforms, and why are you setting up placards to former SS soldiers, I think that's a matter of public interest, but that's why Bob was mentioning that. So let's play more of this interview of, our aptly named police chief Outlaw.
All right.
Issue that I have is that you wanted another assistant chief to come in where all the other chiefs had.
It's a deputy chief.
Deputy chief.
So do you know that all the bureau directors, I'm a bureau director.
Right.
Okay. The bureau directors in the city of Portland have a number 2, except the Portland Police Bureau, and has one of the largest budgets in the entire state. You know that?
Yeah. So
why is it that when I'm asking for the same thing, it's an issue?
None of the other chiefs needed that.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that I'm different because I need it? Or because I'm trying to make the infrastructure and the organization more efficient?
Okay, here's the thing, right?
Hold on. Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Don't talk.
Okay, here's the thing, right? Miss Outlaw was hired to do a job that had a predisclosed duties. No other police chief in the history of ever in Portland needed an assistant chief. So she gets the job, there's a job description, and she knows what job she's being hired to do. And then one of her first official acts is to beg city council to hire someone to be her lackey at the tune of, I think it's something like, it's $150,000 a year. So I want you to imagine, dear viewers, that you're trying to get a job as a baker, and you just get hired, and your first day on the job, you're like, hey, you know what? I think I think it'd be really great. You know, I mean, I'm an awesome baker, but can you get somebody else to carry the flour and do the mixing and do the measurements for the baking formulas for me? I think the job would be really efficient if you could get me an assistant. Like, what? What? I mean, there are, you know, merit-based applicants that tried to get this job before Outlaw. They were in the competitions, and none of them, I'm sure, would have asked for an assistant chief. You know, her first, one of her first official acts, aside from issuing an apology video to new Portland Police Bureau officers that just graduated, she couldn't even bother to show up at a graduation ceremony towards the beginning of her tenure. And the first thing she does is goes, hey, can you guys get somebody to help me do my work for me? I mean, that's a red flag for me. And Miss Outlaw, you asking Bob if he's ever ran a police department, see, that's not a qualifier for being able to criticize you. See, your existence is contingent upon money that's levied from property taxes, like the house that Bob and his family own. They pay you to exist, you parasite, you know, and you throwing that in his face just makes you look like a classist a-hole, Miss Outlaw. So let's continue, please. And this feels good. This is like cathartic therapy.
Okay.
I'm just sitting there saying that the other chiefs need it. We don't need it now.
Okay, you ran the police.
No. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other thing is the city of Portland is #1 on child sex trafficking, #2 on overall sex trafficking with women. Excuse me.
Hold on. Okay, you're good.
Okay, I have to point out something. Well, two things at this point in the video. You noticed, Bunny, did you notice the security guard said, excuse me, and kept stepping in front of Bob and trying to keep him from walking forward?
Unfortunately, I do not have the ability to fully watch the window because of how many freaking windows, because of what I got going on to get this thing to work. So
okay,
I am just listening in and just looking for when the motion stops to turn down the volume. So
okay, well, I'll point that out to the audience. That security guard that said, excuse me, and you can see him darting back and forth in front of Bob trying to impede his movement forward. I think it's really funny that last year, you see this elevator on the viewer's perspective of the right. During a protest in City Hall, that very same security guard alleged that Bob committed felony coercion against the same guard because Bob's body impeded his movement out of the elevator for a few seconds. When there was, like, you know, hundreds of people in City Hall. So he's doing the exact same thing. He's like trying to impede Bob's movement, and I guarantee you that guy won't get any charges of felony coercion, you know. Luckily, the DA thought it was ridiculous that Portland Police Bureau and the G4S security guard there tried to actually have that charge put on Bob. But I think the double standard is worth mentioning, and I think it's great that the same elevator is right there so the viewers can watch. And the reason why Bob asked Chief Outlaw right before that security guard tried to practice journalist interruptus, as it were, was for this reason. When Chief Outlaw was in command staff of Oakland Police Department, there was a massive sex scandal. A cop ended up committing suicide, and his suicide note mentioned the fact that he was cheating on his wife with an underage girl. Has admitted that she's been working in the sex industry since she was 12 years old. She is implicated and admitted in numerous corporate news articles that somewhere between 23 and 30 Oakland police officers, I think 5 or 6 Oakland police chiefs have been fired over it. And this is when Chief Outlaw was in an assistant chief position in Oakland Police Department. And Portland, if you're Bunny Boots's audience, or if you're just watching this in Europe or something, or in another state, Portland is one of the worst places for women and girls being kidnapped and forced into sex slavery through, first they make them dance in underground sex clubs, and then they addict them to drugs and turn them out. And I think it's a very valid question that Bob was trying to ask her, but now there's this big group of cops, you know, walking slowly between Bob and the security guard, trying to impede Bob from asking her this very important question that's in the public interest. And I'll just continue on with the video from here for a bit.
Okay. Oh, and keep your mic a little bit close to the computer. It's coming in through your mic. That's how we're getting the audio.
Oh, okay. Right on.
And Oakland had the same problem. Are we going to have the same problem with the Portland Police Bureau and corrupt officers? Why is it the Portland Police Bureau's officers are afraid of cop watchers? I hear it time and time again. I hear about it time and time again how Portland police officers are afraid of cop watchers. I was wondering, when are you guys going to get brave officers? I mean, we run around with cameras. We ask interesting questions, and you guys file anti-stalking orders against us. How is that appropriate? So Oakland had a problem with child sex trafficking, just like Portland does. Are you going to get rid of the officers that were involved in that? Are you going to get rid of the fascist officers that support Nazis? What about these officers that like to shoot mentally ill and beat up mentally ill people? Are you going to get rid of those? Or are you going to just justify their actions?
Give me a second here. Okay, you're back to equal volume.
So when I do the re-edit, I will upload this video in higher quality so people can watch it online. But when Bob was mentioning what about the officers that support Nazis, that's another reference to Captain Mark Kruger that I've talked about ad nauseum. And, you know, since sex trafficking is so pervasive in Portland, I think it's important that cops, especially if we have a chief now that was an assistant chief, during such widespread, pervasive sexual misconduct of cops. I mean, what are we importing? What sort of policing attitudes are we importing into the city I live in? It's frightening. You know, having personal on the street experience with what cops are like in Oakland at the bottom of the class ladder. You know, the way you're treated as a homeless person, it's hard to describe. You know, the second-class citizen doesn't even come close to describe what police do to homeless folks for the sheer fun of it, you know. And it's just infuriating to watch a police administration do this in a city that I live in, and that's all I have to say about that. So that's a part of what I wanted to bring to the show tonight, Bunny.
Yeah, and what's interesting is in my comments, section, people are commenting about how it sounds like she's a gypsy cop, or I mean a gypsy police chief cop that moves with when any kind of if any kind of bad thing hits her, she just quits and moves to a new police station or agency. What's your opinion on that?
Well, yeah, that's...
Go ahead. Did we lose you? Uh-oh. It looks like we lost Mike. Well, he'll be back hopefully shortly, so... In the meantime, I will entertain you guys. Oh, and real quick shout out. Landria, thank you for subscribing. I know you did that 30 minutes ago, so... Let's see, move that back down to there, move that back down to here, and I wonder if he accidentally hung up or he just lost his internet connection. As is, doing live streaming, especially in the system that I got going on, to get it out on as many platforms as I have going on, is not an easy task. And so I am managing multiple windows. It would be handy if I had a spot to literally place a second screen and actually afford a second screen to work with, but as is, money is tight, and part of the reason why I'm doing this is to get some extra revenue generated so I can do more of that. Let's see, it's called the continuation of the abuses of police individuality suffered as children. They cannot help themselves. They are chosen to abuse the people. Now let's see here. But the judge was more than happy to lie, or dang it, that went out of my thing. Yeah, let's see here. Let's see, happy to lie and make BS order because they are the same team. When police have bad PR, so do judges. It's somewhat, in a way, I would say probably close to it. Let's see, put out an Amber Alert for Mike. Quick shout, Amber Alert. Let's see if we could get the things. Oh, wait, no, maybe he got black bag. That would be an interesting follow-up. That was my wife. You just described you from Northern Colorado auditors. Alandria is your wife. Okay, cool. Hey, Mike, you back? I'll give him a sec here. He probably had to restart the router or something like that. Thanks, guys. NCA is cool. Was the request upheld? Yes, by the court. That they got it issued. Get a Raspberry Pi. They're cheap and they'll help do the job. Well, it's not the Pi. I have a strong enough computer to do multitasking. I don't have enough screen capacity to do this all. I need a second monitor to really kick ass at this kind of shit. And as is, I mean, I got a 40-inch TV, but I can only fit so much in 40 inches with on a 1080p display. And we're waiting to see if Mike pops back in. I see his face. We all see his face, but obviously we still don't see him. He hasn't responded. I don't see his circle moving. At least you can see mine. Blah, blah. There we go. I'm back to talking again. But anyway, let's get these chat windows back up here. I'm going to pop in and out of the house like switching channels on the TV. Let's see. Scariest Movie Live channel is live right now, and I have to go. Oh, okay. Understandable. If you have more entertaining things. But anyway, let me find something else on the news feed here that has come out in the past week here. Oh, yeah, that's right. We had that incident over there at the border, near a border patrol crossing or border area where a bunch of auditors were chased off, well, forced off of a, no, that's the post office. From over what was it, elevated bridge path over a roadway or something like that. Let's see if I can find that. Let's see here. Gatesville, First Amendment right. Trying to find that. I think I've gone too far, because it just came out the other day. It wasn't like 4 days ago. Well, it might have been 4 days ago. Yeah, sanitation. Let's see. Ah, there it is. Mass Border Patrol. Okay. copy link address. And which one was I originally had for window capture on this? Give me a second here, guys. Oh, figures. Okay. Let me get this brought back up. Okay, that's to there. We'll play this and look it over. Oh, I got Nat
Your
on
team
it,
writes
so.
too many emails to
But I still gotta fix up
Grammarly
the
Business
windows
makes
anyway.
each and every message clear, effective,
Let's see, you are not gonna be
and
capturing
error-free,
that.
allowing your team to shine
And
brightly.
thank you,
Set your team apart with Grammarly Business.
Boomer, for
complete with centralized
subscribing.
billing, easy seat management, and team writing stats.
As I sit here
Visit
and try to... Whoops,
Grammarly.com/business
this is the
to
wrong
get started.
one. I need to window capture that one. Okay, no, there we go. We need you to capture that.
We're just filming. That's all we're doing, just filming. We're just filming. Just filming, that's it. What's wrong with filming? What's wrong with that? We're just filming, that's all? Look at all these guys, man. Just for some cameras. Now we're just filming? I don't know why all you guys are showing up like this. Keep it moving. Leave the property right now. No. Keep it moving. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys.
Yep.
Look at all.
But look how many officers showed up on that bridge.
The cameras, guys. Look at all this.
Yeah, but J.C. Clayford, I'm pretty sure, also filmed in this exact same area.
California. How to say it, Chris, bro. We're over here at the border, Tijuana and Cali. All these cops, just for some cameras right here. That's it. Hey, we got a man, we got a couple guys over here, man. We don't leave them behind. Come on over here, bro. Come on over here. Come on over here. Come on over here, bro. Come on over here. Come on over here. Well, let's get in front. Get in front. What's wrong with cameras, man? Takes all you guys from people with cameras, really? Wow, guys, check this out, man. Here, let's do this. All this for cameras, guys. Look at this. All this for cameras. Ain't that a trip? That's fucking hilarious, dude. Great video. Hey. Fuck. No, you keep walking. Keep walking. You keep walking. Go. Don't touch me, man. That's assault. Nobody touched you. Keep walking. That's assault, man. Hey, you just stepped on my fucking toes, man. You just what's your name and badge number? What's your name and badge number? You stepped on my back of my heel. Keep going. What's your name and badge number? I actually got to go this way. Excuse me. Pardon me.
Oh, nice. Okay, I've shut down everything in the background that I could possibly run. My internet basically just seized up. I'm only on the Google Hangout, and that's all I'm going to open.
Okay, got it. Well, we're just looking at the tyrant alert that was put out over there by the border, the Tijuana border there, crossing by, what was it, trying to remember, who was all, Time to Stand. There were several auditors out there, but Time to Stand was pretty much the main one that, and a couple others published videos about all that, which was quite interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, and what happened was the border patrol showed up in mass. There was probably almost 20 officers, or if not more, that showed up on the bridge to crowd them off, and then realized that they were completely in the wrong and disappear afterwards, and then they went back up on the bridge.
I can't wait to check that stuff out.
Yeah, I was just showing the condensed, well, the highlight version from PNP News' channel there. Okay, so what happened when you're trying to make a statement? I think it was about the. I asked. That's right. I was asking you about the gypsy cop thing, and then that's when you cut out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. My opinion about that is this: you asked me about whether or not I think Outlaw was basically just disappearing so that you know, she could avoid trouble. That's a very common thing that you see in law enforcement. When there's trouble or the possibility of them being prosecuted for something, they migrate somewhere else. And my opinion about that is simply this: there are a few big hindrances to any kind of substantive police reform in America, and one of them is those god-awful union contracts that allow officers to not be questioned, or a lot of union contracts allow for the media to be barred from access to any information about investigations because of the quote unquote fear of cops not having a safe work environment, and then you have the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights says that officers can't be ridiculed or basically ridiculed for enjoying any of their special rights granted to them by the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights. So what that ends up doing is placing a roadblock between any data being released about discipline of officers. So other municipalities don't get the information about who they're hiring. You know, since there's a legal obstacle that protects and insulates officers from having information about their use of force complaints and about their misconduct released to the public, the municipality trying to determine whether or not they're going to hire that officer has a very limited amount of information about the officer's character. And I think the union contracts about not allowing information about officer discipline to be put out into the public, and the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, or the various versions of it, depending on what state you live in, acting as roadblocks. So it facilitates this gypsy cop behavior. Personally, I would love to see a national database. I think the federal government, since they so highly subsidize police, and they're robbing us of our tax money anyway, they should spend some of that money they steal from us on having a national blackball database. If a cop is committed of a sex crime, if a cop is committed or convicted, convicted of committing a sex crime, or if a cop is had multiple settled use of force complaints, meaning the city actually shelled out money in legal settlements because of, you know, cops making themselves the in the $1 million club, as they call it, after a certain point of a cop being a miscreant criminal dirtbag, there should be a database, a national database that municipalities, other cities can look at and say, look, let's see, you broke some old lady's arm, you pepper sprayed someone, you shot a homeless person's dog. I don't think it's going to work out for, you in our department. Sorry, officer criminal dirtbag. Personally, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and what's interesting is someone, what is it? OB007. Did the cops learn moving criminal cops from Catholic Church moving problem priests? I think that's actually a pretty fair comparison with that statement. Don't you agree?
I absolutely agree that, as far as a top-down vertical integration of power, a very centralized core of power, the Roman Catholic Church and the Holy Roman Empire has been used as a model for totalitarian structures to base themselves on for centuries. So I think it's brilliant, a brilliant comparison. It really... one of the things that Nick talked about when we had him on just a couple days ago is that when people are in higher positions of clergy, there's a unspoken or unsaid kind of insulation that the city government kind of leaves them alone when they commit crimes. It has to be a very egregious and a very public crime for them not to to get prosecuted. And I found that very interesting information.
Yeah, and then up to the, who was it that was asking the question about the bridge there? NJ Driver. I'm pretty sure that entire bridge, that footbridge, is after you go through customs on the United States side. And it doesn't look like there's anything that's preventing people from walking up onto that footbridge. So it looks to me that that's all on the United States side, or at least in that regard. So.
You know what I'd love to see?
What do you want to see?
I want to see somebody get a DJI Mavic Pro and fly it on the American side of the border and trace the border on the side where it's legal to film. You know, the person that does this needs to research the laws very carefully and make sure they're not within, like, Bunny, you have experience for this. Doesn't the FAA rule say that they can fine you into poverty, basically, if you fly closer than 5 miles to an airport or whatever? Isn't that one of the rules?
It's not 5 miles to an airport. It's flying in controlled or restricted airspace.
Okay.
So what you have to look at the maps is what you got to do is you got to look for any areas where the airspace is going to be restricted or is controlled because maybe a proximity of an airport or some sort of airfield where aircraft come in and out. And so that is, you'd have to research exactly what you're doing and all that stuff. And keep in mind, there's also a few other supposed policies that come into play, because supposedly the Border Patrol has a policy about filming port of entries, but it has not been challenged in the court, and I don't think they really want to challenge it either, for the most part, because I've seen a few people that had dash cams running while they go through, and they haven't been really hemmed up over having the dash cam going. And helmet cams. Let's see. If a town can't get that info, then the town must require a high bond for him. I think that person's referring to like dealing with gypsy cops and stuff like that that are causing that cause problems and then try to switch over to another agency.
Thank you for jumping on that, Bunny. I was about to address that person. Fixer times 05. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting idea. There's a libertarian or anarcho-capitalist idea. I don't know who exactly started it, but it's been kicked around in libertarian and ANCAP circles for a while, that it would be a very effective tool to curtail police violence if police were required to pay for their own insurance, and the insurance rates would be really low unless they had multiple use of force complaints that were sustained, meaning they were proved to be justified. You know, that the appellant that was complaining was indeed brutalized, and their insurance would be higher, and that would require the police to be monetarily incentivized to be a good person. Because there's something I learned as a street kid years ago is, you know, don't consistently try and rely on people's better nature. They might not have one. Appeal to their mutual self-interest, meaning, you know, self-interest will always be consistent, you know, and who isn't, you know, interested in making sure that they're paid a decent wage? So that will have the police policing themselves because they don't want to be paying a punitive amount of insurance. So yeah, I think that's brilliant.
And FS127 from my chat, didn't activists in Minneapolis try to get that enacted? I am not sure on that specific, but it'd be something that we probably need to go and research on that. I would think. Do you have any idea if anybody's tried to push that in any major events in the last year or two?
I do not recall any big stories about that.
Yeah, let's see. Adam Kokesh may well have some good idea. Read his book Freedom. Better Nature is Risky. Well, go ahead.
I'm triggered. Okay, this is what it sounds like, guys, when an anarchist is triggered, right? Okay, Adam Kokesh has done a lot to fight for liberty, and you know, he's done a lot of good work over the years, but he's trying to push this anarchist ANCAP's vote for me, and I can change politics from, you know, within kind of thing. Now, where he's like talking about running for president. Okay, an idea of an anarchist voting is kind of like, how do I describe this? It's like Jews, the Jewish American Nazi Party, or, you know, like it's antithetical. Like the whole point of being an anarchist is that you know, you've basically given up any faith that you can be governed by government, and that you would like to advocate for a political system that allows for people to have the liberty to self-govern. not rule by force, coercion, and violence. Government, by its very nature, is violence. People vote to have politicians enact laws, and then they have the police force, because that's what they are, is force. Police are the naked expression of force in government. They're the ones that ask, tell, make. Sir, can you take your hands out of your pocket? Sir, get your hands out of your pocket. Sir, if you don't take your hands out of your pocket, you may be shot. That, ask, tell, make. The use of force continuum. That's what they call it in policing. And in during your police contact, it usually goes like that, ask, tell, make. And that's what police do for the politicians. So Kokesh starting this massive campaign, I'm sure he's going to make himself a lot of money off of it. I'm sure his fame is going to get higher for it. But, please, other anarchists, don't get sucked into this stuff. If voting would change anything substantively, they would make it illegal. Okay, end of rant. Okay, I feel a little better. I'm a little less triggered now that I could purge that out of myself.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, what's interesting is, dang it, let me get that window back up. FS127 gave an interesting link to the Minneapolis thing, an article about that. And so I'm going to go ahead and get that popped up on our window, well, on the main window here. And I'm going to read through the article to you. And I think, after a quick glance, I think we're going to have some interesting opinions on this here. Okay, Minnesota Supreme Court upholds Minneapolis decision on police insurance ballot measure. This is done by the Star Tribune. The Minnesota Supreme Court upheld lower court decision dismissing the petition. This was decided March of last year. Minneapolis officials were right to block a proposal requiring police officers to carry liability insurance from going on the ballot as a charter amendment, according to the opinion issued Wednesday by the state Supreme Court. Now, I love how they immediately put in the bias here. We're right to block at the start.
That's definitely not objective reporting. That's like filleting the thin blue line really hard there when they're saying they were right to do so. Like, what? Like, oh, wow. I mean, I know that media caters to implicit bias, whether they're on the left or the right, but wow, that's very, very poignant that you would point out that one line there, Bunny. But, wow.
Yeah. Anyway, continue on. The court upheld an August 2016 district court decision dismissing a petition to put insurance proposal on the ballot as proposed city charter amendment in the November 2016 general election. The opinion, well, and this is in quotation, the opinion of Minnesota Supreme Court confirms the city position that the proposed charter amendment was in conflict with the state statutes, City Attorney Susan Segal said in a statement. So there is an issue with the state statutes. Well, it looks like that maybe it needs the state statutes to be changed to allow that. I'm wondering if there's going to be enough political push to have that done. The committee... no, go ahead.
The state statutes are probably the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. If I had to guess, it's probably one of the clauses in that, but please continue.
The Committee for Professional Policing, a now-defunct citizens group, brought the petition to Minneapolis City Council in July. Interesting. I wonder if they, is that official that they're now defunct, or they're just dismissing them? More research obviously would be done on our part to really properly criticize that wording of the sentence. The proposed amendment would have required officers to carry professional liability insurance. While the city could opt to cover the base rate, officers would be responsible for any additional costs due to personal or claims history. And I actually sort of like this proposal right here. This sounds pretty good. It sounds very reasonable. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that's exactly what I was talking about. I've seen it kicked around and explained in anarchist Reddit groups for a few years now. And I think it makes perfect sense that the city or municipality would pay the base rate for the insurance. But I don't think cities should be making the taxpayers pay for officers when there's a lawsuit. When there's a wrongful death lawsuit, to add insult to injury, like, okay, imagine your family owns a house, and you know, this is a horrible scenario, but imagine your son or your father, you know, gets killed, or your daughter or whatever, one of your family members gets killed by a cop, you know, and you sue the city. Now, your property taxes would literally be going to your own settlement, you know, and the citizenry, the population of the town you live in would be paying for this scumbag officer. Okay, there's a cop in Portland that's cost, his name's Leo Besner. If you guys want to have a good laugh, I had an opportunity to put this guy's feet in some coals, metaphorically. You know, I consider it a public service to heckle this guy, but if you type into YouTube confronting killer cop Leo Besner, I'm grilling the guy pretty hard. He's cost Portland more than $1 million because he's, you know, beaten multiple people. He's beaten on an elderly man. He used to be on our CERT team, our SWAT team, and there was a man, I forgot the fella's name, but if you, it's actually, all this data is linked underneath the video I just described. But Leo Besner was, he was in a sniper position, looking in the backyard of a man's house that was holding someone hostage with a knife. According to Portland Police Bureau's story, Besner was ordered to observe and not fire. He was just told to observe and not fire. And the man that was holding someone hostage in the house walked out into his backyard, and Besner allegedly shot the man in the back without being ordered to. So took it upon himself to do the guy from a sniper position, and the guy was in the yard by himself. There was no imminent danger to human life. He just thought, oh, well, I can get the guy right here without being ordered to. You know, their use of force policy with CERT is, it clearly states that snipers are supposed to, you know, unless they can see clear exigency that an immediate threat to human life is, you know, imminent, then they're not supposed to fire. You know, and the creepiest thing about that particular incident of police chicanery and misconduct and horror is that Portland Police Bureau has never found the bullet to this day that was shot in his back. And, you know, that's just freaking weird and shady. And he's pepper sprayed people and heckled them. He's, like I said, beat on an elderly person, and just cost the city so much. And why do we have to pay for that? You know, if a fireman shows up and throws gas on a fire, you know, do you increase his wages? I mean, oh man, it's so backwards. Wow, it should be incumbent on them when they start when we have to start paying cops like exorbitant amounts of money for the pleasure of them beating on us and killing our family members and you know, costing us exorbitant amounts of money. That's ridiculous. I mean, wow.
Yeah, well, we'll finish up this article here. The group intended to reduce police misconduct by placing financial burden on officers, but Siegel said that it would conflict with the state law requiring cities to defend and indemnify employees acting within their job duties. A major city council member agreed and voted against putting the amendment on the ballot. The Supreme Court agreed regarding of the law, and what's in quotations, given that proposed insurance amendment would explicitly prohibit what state law permits the city to do, procure additional insurance coverage even for conduct for which the city would not otherwise be liable, we cannot conclude that the proposed insurance amendment is in harmony with the state law, the court said in its majority opinion. Justice David Strauss offered the lone dissent, saying he agreed with the lower court's decision to dismiss the case, but not its reasoning. Dave Bickning, also one of the appellates, said that the court's decision seems to follow a trend of issue like this one not getting on the ballot. It is, in quotes, it is an issue for voters, he said, and it's and that's where it should have gone.
So they're using the court system to circumvent the democratic process at this point.
Well, it sounds like what's going on is they're stating that if you want to get this, if you want to put this on the ballot, you got to change this other law first in order to get it to happen.
Right.
That's what it seems. That's what this is what it's stating to me, at least with all the decisions and all that stuff.
Yeah, logically you're correct. I just misspoke. And I guarantee you, when you look at that state law, Bunny, like do the research later. But I'll bet you $3 that it's going to be the law enforcement officer's Bill of Rights in that state version. I guarantee you that's why. That's the core of the problem. Like, out of all my years of doing this, I've been cop watching for 7 years, and just recently, the last 3 or 4 months, I've started to look at the qualified immunity and the law enforcement officer's Bill of Rights, the various versions for the various states. And I'm telling you, that is the root of the problem. That's the rat that's loose in the castle that somebody needs to stomp on. You know, like it really needs to be looked at and reformed. That's all I got to say about it. I mean,
Yeah. I love Fixer's comment referring to your fireman analogy. We need to give the fireman a time off with pay.
Nice. Yeah, that's one for you. Okay, I have to give respect where respect is due. I've been out on a lot of police scenes. I've filmed a lot of fires. I've seen the stuff that they do. Can you imagine what if cops were firemen? You know, they'd be like, no, I think we're going to have to set up some police tape and establish a perimeter and wait for a CERT team to come in and, like, you know, make sure that no one, like, you know, gets their hair singed or gets hurt at all before we go and put out your fire. Or, you know, I mean, it's so ridiculous. If cops were firemen, they'd run from fires. Okay, firemen, in my opinion, are owed every bit of accolades and praise that society gives cops. You know, these are real heroes. Firemen are very seldomly talked about in the corporate media, you know, and these people risk their lives to save lives constantly. You know, like in this whole mentality that's being touted by the thin blue line, blue pulse sucking, blue knee pad having corporate media makes me sick. The whole narrative about there's some kind of war on cops is so ridiculous to me. If you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you will see that there's a number of type of employments that are quite a bit more dangerous than police officer as a job. Like, for instance, the most murdered, if memory serves, the most murdered profession in America is cab drivers. Now, when a cab driver, the guy at Yellow Cab, gets shot and mugged and killed, they don't close down the street and have horses, you know, blocking the street. They don't close off traffic and have a parade and have, you know, guys with bagpipes and mothers weeping and people, like, you know, just basically filleting authority with lockjaw. They don't do that when a cab driver dies, you know. But like oh my God, like if a cop is so stupid that he can't look left, right, and left again when he's giving somebody a traffic ticket, and his dumb arse gets ran over, you know, they name the highway after him. Like, what? Okay, so stupid ran out into traffic, so we're gonna name the road after him. I mean, what? I mean, personally, I think America has a collective kind of Stockholm syndrome, or even what's a good analogy? Lady Liberty is in a bad relationship. You know, she's got battered wife syndrome. Okay, you know, cops can murder people, cops can rob people, cops can rape people, cops can you know, be implicated in Oakland. You know, this woman alleges that at least somewhere between 23 and 30 cops she had sex with as a minor, and there was only like a couple cops fired over it. You know, they can murder people, they can rob you, they can get away with this is a common story. SWAT teams get the wrong address, so they raid a person's house, They kill the person's dog. They shoot one of their family members. They're like, oh, well, since we have this legal standard called qualified immunity, the officer was acting under the color of authority of his badge. So, oh, no, I guess that the cop won't ever get criminally prosecuted. But here's some money. They always settle out of court and give them a few $100,000 or whatever, with one caveat. You don't speak to the media. So these crimes, these murders that these cops commit, they get swept under the rugs because the families don't get the settlement checks unless they promise not to make statements to the media. So we live in a society that's constantly covering up for our abuser, which is the police. So Lady Liberty's backside is battered black and blue by the police in this country. Every day she's getting raped, and we as a society, because we want to be good citizens, just cover up for it and just keep taking it, like a $2 prostitute on buy one get one free day. It's so frustrating to actually know what's going on with policing in this country, and then to try to talk to it about people, and they're just like, but who will protect me from the scary criminals? But like, here's one for you. The whole idea of police preventing crimes is ridiculous to me. Like, a cop can't unrape your girlfriend. If your girlfriend gets raped, the cop can show up with a clipboard and go, I'm sorry, ma'am. Here, I'll get you a female officer to talk to. He can't put her lady parts back together by waving his badge in the air. A cop can't unrob you. If you get mugged on the street, okay, your money's not going to magically go back in your wallet if a cop shows up and goes, oh, tell me what the guy looked like. Your safety and security on a street level is up to you. It's contingent upon you. A cop can't unrob you. It can't unrape you. Very infrequently do cops ever prevent crimes. What they do is they show up, and then they act as an agent for the state to convert misery and human misfortune into cash for the prison industrial complex, because they always show up after the fact, and then they're like, oh, well, we can put the person in prison and charge them court fees, and the court system can squat on top of both the victim and the assailant of the crime and extract money from them and put them in prison, and then the private prison industry can profit from their being incarcerated and steal money from the taxpayers at the same time. It's like America is the greatest metaphor for America right now is a corpse that's eating itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as is, it's just there's a lot of problems. And it also brings me to my thought of trying to get cops to come on and talk about this from their point of view. And what's interesting is, like, it brings me back also to my discussion last week with Weeboo, who is a police in the Police Explorer program, getting ready to become a cop if she's not a cop already. And our debate, which I got to go over our debate still, well, our discussion from last week, because there's a few things that was concerning with me about the numbers, and it took me a while to actually remember to figure out what was exactly bothering me with the numbers, because she did have valid numbers, but it's the way it was grouped, and the way how all that stuff, because in the study that she provided, it was, okay, cops are in the, like, it was like in the top 10, within the top 10 dangerous. But the problem was that all the job listings on that thing were grouped together. They weren't individualized by actual trade kind of thing, like truck driver, electrician, construction worker, store clerk, per se. Where if you work construction, it doesn't matter what kind of construction, was all grouped into one thing. The oops, my throat's drying out. And the whole dang, I can't remember the other fields. I have to go back over it, but they're still the other study that I looked at several years ago, well, a couple years ago, had the individual trades lined out. And also, New Jersey Driver, for the past, like, 5 minutes, has been putting in interesting statistics into my chat window, which was quite interesting. Hey, New Jersey Driver, if you get a chance, can you email me where you're getting those statistics? I would love to look that up.
Now,
go ahead.
Just one offer I would like to make to the folks in law enforcement. I have I know I sound ranty and I'm angry, and I'm saying a lot of things that are probably making you angry, or just think, who is this anti-cop guy ranting? I promise that if you come on the show, I will treat you with respect. I won't heckle you. I won't cuss at you. I will just logically try to saliently argue my side of things. So that's my offer. If anybody that's previous law enforcement or active duty that wants to come on the show and talk, I will not disrespect you. I will disagree with you, and I will logically point out my thoughts on the matter. In fact, if you poke around my YouTube channel, you'll see that I am quite fair with cops. When they're being nice and respectful to me, I respond with respect and kind, and that's my offer. If you guys want to come on the show and talk about this stuff, let's do it, because both Bunny and I do have decent reach into the internet, and if you guys legitimately feel that you're being treated unfairly by the narrative that's being pushed by police accountability activists, this would be a good opportunity for you guys to come on and have this conversation. I think one of the more interesting YouTube channels that are out there right now is LEO Roundtable. And it's basically a roundtable discussion group by active cops and former cops. And they just talk about high-profile news stories. And what I find interesting about the channel, they don't even have a lot of subscribers. I mean, they only get a couple hundred views a video or whatever. But what I find interesting about it is all the narratives that most people get to critique are coming from the mouthpieces of these professional propagandists that work as public information officers for policemen. But what's unique about this show, LEO Roundtable, is it's cops just saying what they think. And it's interesting in that regard, because it's not these professional slick propaganda people's given a narrative that's going to most likely be favorable to the cops. And these guys and girls that come on this show they don't really pull punches. Some of the attitudes that you would expect from cops, you see there, you can, they're joking around about use of force in a way that kind of creeps me out. But I just think that people, if they're interested in police and policing, they need to check out that channel. And I know it's weird that an anarchist is sitting here plugging a pro cop channel, but I think it's interesting information. And for me to be a better person and to learn more, I'm going to have to study the information that's being put out by my ideological enemies, or I'm useless. And that's why I think there's a value to watching that channel. Those guys don't even know me. I've never reached out to them. I think this is the second time that I've publicly plugged their stuff.
Yeah, and I'm familiar. I'm actually subscribed with their channel. I haven't watched too much of the stuff because I barely have enough time to even watch the stuff our own guys are putting out. So, yeah. But, I mean, the thing is, maybe we should try to reach out and see if maybe we can do some a cross, stream kind of thing where we do one giant kind of thing. We join them on their whatever hangout thing they got going out. Or I'm not even sure what system they're using. So
they use their own independent software to stream with. It's actually better than Hangouts. I've seen it. But I would love to talk with them. I think it'd be interesting. Something that I haven't uploaded yet, but my viewers can look forward to this, is that Valentine's Day, there was Portland Police Bureau's SWAT team had a guy barricaded in his house, and Bob and I and Chris were filming. They tear gassed the guy multiple times, and then they used either a flashbang or a door charge to breach. We didn't have a decent line of sight. Went in, had dogs take the guy into custody, and the cop in the mobile command unit, because when there's a hostage situation or a search situation, Portland Police Bureau use a dedicated mobile police station. It's like this big long it looks like a Rockstar's van, but it's got its own dedicated communications and power and everything, and they can run their logistics out of that mobile unit. And the guy that was in charge of that scene was that Nazi cop Mark Kruger, and I had some words for Kruger while I was filming that scene, and it's pretty funny. It's some of my classic heckling. But I mean, I live in a city. It's so frustrating. I live in a city where a guy can set policy for how police deal with African American and Hispanic people. That's outed Nazi. That's claims that he likes history. That's why he prances around in Nazi uniforms. I mean, he was at a police accountability hearing a couple of years back, and it was so disturbing to me to have to sit there and not just jump up and start screaming at the guy. He shows up in a vintage late 1930s suit, and he's got like a little Hitler comb-over haircut, you know, and a little vintage 30s tie, and he looked just like a Gauleiter from you know, the Nazi Party. The Gauleiters were people that, when the Nazi Party was in its fledgling stages, they would basically go around and host parties, you know, like swing dance parties and stuff like that, and they would set up tables that tell people all about the wonders of the future 1,000-year Reich and stuff. But he just looks like somebody that could have been one of those guys. Well, yeah, let me tell you all about the, you know, all the wonderful stuff that brown shirts are doing, and, you know, like, you know, here, have a drink, here, take a Nazi pen and a little pamphlet, and we're going to change the world. You know, I mean, he just looks like one of those guys, and it's freaking disturbing. And because of the nature of the union contract with Portland Police Bureau and the city of Portland, this guy was outed. And there's numerous female officers of Portland Police Bureau that he was sexually harassing. And he actually, during these allegations, he actually posted a 8x10 note on one of them's door, heckling them about the allegations of the sexual harassment. And Portland Police Bureau officers were joking about him being a Nazi because, well, you can do a Google image search. Do it now, viewers. Google image search Nazi cop Mark Kruger, and you will find a black and white photo of Mark Kruger in a German World War II soldier's outfit. Like, you can actually see him there wearing that crap. So they were joking. Portland Police Bureau officers were joking about that. And there was the allegations about him bringing dishonor to the Bureau, about, you know, and the proved allegations. They have the Nazi placards that he nailed up in the tree in a warehouse in Portland. The city government has it, but they have never released it to the media. After he was officially disciplined, they kept his Nazi plaques that he put up in the park in southeast Portland. And, you know, thanks to the union contract, when those girls made that complaint, and when the officers were emailing each other about him being a Nazi, because, well, I mean, all he's missing, I shite upon you not, dear audience, is a little Hitler mustache on this guy. I mean, it's so disturbing. It's so disturbing. It's so repugnant. And I don't throw around the Nazi word as a pejorative. I mean, this dude's just a Nazi fetishist. You know, it's disturbing. You know, by day, mild-mannered police captain. By night, goose-stepping, Jew-hating neo-Nazi. I mean, what? I mean, it's so frustrating. But
well, I did that little I did a DuckDuckGo search for you, and CBS article: Portland settles suit by police captain who honored Nazis, from 2014.
Please do read that, Bunny, so the viewers can see that I'm not just using the Nazi word as a pejorative.
Once forgotten plaques placed by a Portland police officer in the city park to honor 5 Nazi-era German soldiers have come to haunt the city. The officer, Captain Mark Kruger, threatened to sue the city last year over text sent by top police officials to an officer characterizing him as a Nazi sympathizer. Instead of going to court, the city settled, agreeing Kruger 80 hours of vacation and $5,000.
Yeah,
oh boy.
Yeah, the union contract forced them to pay him back pay, and also he's part of his settlement. The fact that he put up those Nazi placards and was disciplined for bringing dishonor to the Bureau, okay, was removed from his official file. So when Kruger, if he wants to go work for another police bureau, the fact that he was sexually harassing officers, a female officer of the Portland Police Bureau, the fact that he put up those Nazi placards, you know, will not appear in his resume. You know, like, you know.
Yeah, hold on. Let me read this part. For some in the city, tensions linger over a series of police shootings of minorities and mentally ill. What came next was too much. His record was also wiped clean of the discipline he faced for putting up the plaque in 1999, and the chief apologized to him. Just exactly what you just stated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And, like, okay, I actually got to tell him this to his face, and I'm so happy I got to do it. I'm not a violent man. The only thing I'm interested in shooting the cops with is a camera. But I told that guy to his face, and I'm so proud that I got to say this. My grandfather Dudley got to kill Nazis, and all I get to do is give you the finger. I feel cheated. Because my grandfather Dudley fought in the Pacific Island campaign as a turret gunner in World War II. And he also got to kill Nazis, you know.
Yeah. And apologies, New Jersey diver. I don't know why I keep saying driver. It just it somehow rolls off the tongue a lot better. So, and yes, I tried to get on Morning Kumite, but what is it for a debate kind of thing? But that didn't really work out, and they're now doing more vetting and all that stuff. And I haven't had a chance to talk with the one challenger. So, but, and also Ichabod Orange has seemed to decided he's not into talking with me and the Batosai about the court decision that I challenged him at, but someone has told me that they talked with him about it. And I guess behind closed door, he sort of admit he has no longer, he's changed his opinion, but publicly he still holds the same opinion from when I talked to, we did talked it out in the comment section of 2 of his videos there. It's quite interesting how that goes work out. I'll cover that in a separate thing dealing with Morning Kumite. But go ahead and continue, Mike Blue Hair.
Yeah, I'm just really frustrated at the fact that we have to deal with the insult that is Captain Mark Kruger. Like, and one of the things Bob, when I showed the video of Bob's to the audience just a little while ago, and when I broke it up in little pieces and, you know, explained why Bob was saying these things to her to provide context was, you know, are you going to do something about the Nazi cops? And he was talking about Mark Kruger to her, you know, and so we have a black police chief, a black woman, you know, and she's in a supervisory position over a guy whose idea of a good time is to wear Nazi uniforms and put up placards to, you know, Nazi soldiers. And he literally, when you read the multiple articles about him, he married his wife at the same place where Eva Braun was married to Hitler. You know, that's just a red flag. And there's something, you know, I would like to share with the audience about my history. I was doing Antifa stuff before it was cool. You know, I'm middle-aged now. In the 90s and early 2000s, I was going to neo-Nazi shows like skinhead bands like Screwdriver and Hammerskin shows with other punk kids, and putting my foot as far up some Nazi ASS as I possibly could. And, you know, I wasn't like on the internet bragging about it. You know, I was just going and handling stuff because that's what you do to real Nazis. Okay. You know, that's the way I grew up. And now I'm watching this Antifa versus alt-right, and everybody who's to the right of Stalin is a Nazi now, and they're just attacking them. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if you had any idea, like, you know, if you fought against some of these Aryan Brotherhood people or Tom Metzger's folks or the white Aryan resistance folks that I've been in fistfights and mass brawls with in back alleys in the 90s as a teenager, you know, like, you people just don't even know the war that went on the streets that never got publicized, because they would just throw the various assailants in jail, or, you know, somebody wouldn't make it, you know. But it's ridiculous. And now I have to watch, you know, in the mainstream media, and on the internet, these alt-right groups and these kids calling themselves Antifa. And like, I understand, like, you know, if that's, you know, fight against Nazis or whatever, but like, it's just, it's a different world now, man. When I was a kid, when I was 14, 15 years old, they'd let you, and what I mean by them is the police, they'd let someone have a street fight. You know, the cops would say, pick yourselves up, go home. Like, is there any bones broken? Is there anybody who's got like a mortal? No? Okay, no mortal wounds? Go home. Boys will be boys, just fight. Now they call the National Guard practically. They get you in child protective services. They'll put you in therapy. They'll they'll charge the parents. That's not FCC compliance. They'll charge the parents with crimes for neglect. The system is so far at people's rear ends nowadays that, you know, people can't fight. But when I was a teenager, you could get in the fights and no one, as long as no one was seriously hurt, they'd be like, whatever. Like, I guess, you know, next time you should fight better. You know, you won't have bruised ribs or whatever, you know, like, like just the cultural differences between my age group and millennials. I mean, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
And actually, going on to that, FS127 actually has a pretty good comment about all this stuff. People are so insulated now. They have a hard time even talking to people outside their belief structure. What do you think about that?
I think it's an unfortunate, like, well, here's the deal. What media has become in the 21st century is who can cater to the preconceived notions of their audience in the most obnoxiously grating, overt sort of way. He or she who yells loudest and acts the most offended gets the largest audience. Okay, and that's on the left or the right. Like, so unfortunately, it's part of human nature to look to the person that's being the loudest, the most obnoxious, the right, like, and give that person a position of prominence. And social media, the rise of Facebook, the rise of Instagram, the tweety, insty, facey, narcissistic book, has made it worse. Now everyone is a media outlet, and everyone is seeing if they can cater to the preconceived bias of their audience louder and more obnoxious and more of in an extreme way. And it's disturbing. It does insulate people. So something I find very, very interesting about 21st century contemporary American culture is this. This is a common phrase that's said by everyone, no matter you're an anarchist, a socialist, a communist, a libertarian, you know, what are those Bernie Sanders people? A democratic socialist? Everybody says to everyone else, why don't you wake up? America's so asleep. Oh God, they're so asleep. They all say that. Like the sense of importance has been folded in on everyone, and everyone thinks that they're right, and everybody thinks that they know everything, and everybody knows that if just the world could see the way things I see it, the world would be a better place. No, that's not reality. That has absolutely nothing to do with logic, reason, and objective truth. That has to do with bias. And since before the rise of social media, we've had the corporate media, and you have the two dominant voices, the Republican and the Democrat, or the extreme left and the extreme right. And they've been polarizing this argument between each other, and all social media has done is fragment that and then ape that like monkeys doing sign language. So you have all these little groups that are basically catering to their preconceived notion. When I try to Google something and try to understand it, you know, this is my approach, Bunny. I look at opposing views. I look at people that disagree with me, and then I look at why are they saying that? what logical reason do they have to say that? And then I try to formulate my opinion. I try and be objectively logical about my approach to reality. I feel that that's, you know, a minority kind of perspective. Now there I go again, illustrating the hypocrisy. See, I think I'm right. You know, I'm just I'm admitting right now that I'm just as big a hypocrite as everyone else. But the idea, the bias that I want to cater to is people that want to use logic and reason to determine what reality is.
Yeah, and the thing is I mean, when it comes down to ideologies and perspectives, you have to have the interaction and debates with the other opposing side in order to whittle out a good objective truth. It's not just also doing your own research, it's also being able to sit there and have the civil debate or the discussion or even like a Morning Kumite match where you're yelling at each other to some extent, to be able to exchange ideas. And it's not just two people going at it with their ideas, they're probably set in their ways. It's also being able to change the watchers, the observer's opinion on the subject matter and figuring it out and all that stuff. But anyway, it is closing in on 7 o'clock, man. We should probably start wrapping this one up. And also, an apology to people that are watching my streams. For some reason, the chat box from Mike Bluehair's channel has broken, and it hasn't been working. I've been sitting here and doing all kinds of things trying to get it back up, but it's just not wanting to come back online. Go ahead, Mike, if you want to have some ending comments and all that. Go ahead.
Well, I'll do an ending comment. Yeah. And thank you for listening to me rant, Bunny, but like I've been, you know, just really PO'd about the way that city government's been working in Portland lately, and the way that there's basically a no BS war on cop watchers being wrought against us by the city government. And I have to apologize for the miscommunication. Either Bunny got it wrong or I got it wrong, but I thought we were supposed to start tonight at 6 and Bunny thought it was supposed to be at 5.
I think I got it wrong. I think okay. I was for some reason I still keeping 5 o'clock in my head, and I'm pretty sure you're right. We said you said 6, and it just did not flip in my head, or it's not set. But I changed up my alarm on my phone that I set for Fridays to match the proper time. So hopefully next week I will get it right this time.
Well, I want to apologize to my viewers, but I'm sure Bunny entertained you adequately, and I know he showed some video. And I'd just like to thank you, Mr. Boots, for doing this project with me, because I think you're a good counterbalance, because that what you bring to the table is a knowledge of law and police procedure and civil rights. That's you know, it's a good complementary type thing to my ranting. You know, I mean, I'm more versed in the sociology aspects of it, the psychology, and the on-the-street practical interaction with law enforcement. That's kind of more of my forte. Although I have studied law and my own civil rights, but I like the fact that you're very grounded in that subject and you're knowledgeable in it, and it makes for more compelling interaction when we're dealing with guests and whatnot.
Yeah, well, as is, it's. I mean, I figured this would be a good starting balance, just because we're not too far off on the same objective goal, but our politics are definitely differing in where we stand.
Sure, and I want to talk next show. I want to get more into your perspective, because okay. I've been ranting too much about anarchism. So I want the audience to hear more about your perspective on things next week. So look forward to hearing that, guys. Thanks for watching, people. If you're watching this on Steemit, hook me up with an upvote and a resteam for police accountability. This is real talk, guys. Both Bunny Boots and my audience. YouTube is trying to economically starve controversial content off the air. Like, there's mass demonetization. It's getting really hard for us to be funded in doing what we're doing. And personally, I would like to have the money to go to the next Ferguson, because I did cover the Mike Brown protest and all that tumultuous BS that happened after that. And I also you know, went out to Malheur when those right-wing folks took over the bird refuge, and I was able to cover that. But the only reason why is because I had resources. And honestly, I don't know how you're doing financially, Bunny, but like after that YouTube ad apocalypse, I've just been struggling really bad. So please do, you know, if you're watching this, hit that super chat button. There's a PayPal donation link under the video. If you're watching it on Steam, upvote it, because what you're endorsing with your capital when you're on Steemit is my ability to continue covering these important things. And a little feather in my cap, I was instrumental in getting a cop fired. There's not a lot of cop watchers out there that can claim that. You know, if I were a fighter pilot, I would have at least 1-0 on the side of my plane, because Ray Elbers of St. Anne Police Department, I was instrumental in getting him fired when he aimed a long rifle at me and a bunch of other journalists in Ferguson after the Mike Brown, or during the Mike Brown protest. I was the state of Missouri's star witness in his disciplinary hearing, and then his administrative hearing, and he no longer has a license to be a cop in the state of Missouri because of me. So that's what you're funding when you're supporting my work, is dirty cops getting fired, and on boots on the ground, real activism where I'm actually putting myself on the line to get out there and do it. Because a lot of people talk about it, but people like Bunny and myself are doers. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go and set up by yourself across the street from a military base with a tripod camera and a GoPro or a handheld camera and not speak to MPs and then PD when they show up, because these people can get away with shooting people. These people can get away with beating. They could have beaten Bunny. They could have said that he made a furtive movement and shot him and legally gotten away with it during some of his First Amendment tests when he's doing the silent treatment. So when you're supporting us, you're supporting people that are actually out there doing it and not talking about it. And personally, I think there's value in what we do. So end of shameless self-promotion. So I'll let you end the show there, Bunny.
Yeah, and Dave just posted a title, Filming Police is Not a First Amendment Right, Court of Appeals Ruling Leo Roundtable Episode 319. I think we're going to have to give that one a look at. I'm going to put that in my little browser thing real fast here on the side and take give that a look at right after we get done with this. But yeah, as is, when it comes down to it, your funding does help me get a lot of stuff done. I have been sort of instrumental. I can't say I've been the sole reason, but I've been helpful in pushing back against legislative pushes within city councils and borough councils and stuff like that up in Alaska. I'll probably start getting involved in the government process down here and statements once I get stuff going and figure out all the council meetings for the area. But as is, I also am out there documenting, and it takes money to go and do all that stuff. And as is, I'm still dealing with that U.S. Marshals thing. That is not over. I am working with some other people to try to get that push. But believe me, that fight is not over with. That is still ongoing. And hopefully we can get some changes pushed because of that. And the thing is, it's just, it costs a lot of money. And as is, I break even, and that's part of the reason why with like the First Amendment test videos, with my First Amendment Fridays, I produce a video, I charge for that video. If I'm not producing a video, I don't charge you for it. That's why I do the charge for per video and not charge per month, because there's times when I'm busy, I'm not able to produce videos. I'm not able to sit down and, well, get out there and get that footage and then go ahead and get it edited and put out there. This month, I got enough footage to put together for, I could probably fill up the rest of the month, but it's hard to say if I can, how much more beyond that I have, so. But you guys have a good time out there. Remember, we are, for Fridays, it's going to be 6 o'clock. We pretty much agreed upon that, 6 p.m. on Pacific. If, for Wednesday's show, it's going to be 3 p.m., correct, Mike? 3 p.m. on Wednesdays? Okay. 3
p.m. Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get a guest on for next week, and I just recently had a message back from Gavin Syme, the very well-known liberty activist. And personally, I like a lot of these constitutionalist people. And it's funny because I'm an anarchist, but some of these hardcore constitutionalists are some of the last people left in America that have any balls. And that's my humble opinion. But they are willing to stand up for their liberty and how they perceive things. And personally, I think Gavin Simon, some of the other people in the quote-unquote liberty movement are amazingly strong people. And I'm very excited to contact him through email and arrange a time to do this show with him.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I mean, if we can't get him on for like a live show or whatever, we could probably at least get it pre-recorded and then play that while we do our show or whatever and have that going.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it would be interesting to have him put in the hot seat. You know, I think it might be interesting to have people, you know,
asking questions, fielding questions for the audience.
Right, because there are a lot of people that are irritated with him about him and his family moving to Mexico. But my statement to those people that are saying that he's, you know, left the country and you know, blah, 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 he's a traitor or whatever, or, you know, people looking down on him for that, I'll just say this to them. Has your family been threatened, intimidated, or coerced by the government? Have your kids been intimidated? Has your wife been? You know, his father has been harassed and bothered by law enforcement. His brother has. His wife and children have been. He has been numerous times. He's been unduly charged, maliciously prosecuted multiple times. So until you walk in that man's shoes, I think that maybe you should, you know, take back a little bit, sit back a little bit in your chair and think about the amount of trouble this man has brought down on himself for standing up for his liberties.
Hold on, NJ Diver, I'm gonna give you a wrench. There you go. Now you can post URLs. Though, if you're wondering how the other guy posted the URL into the chat, he's over on Twitch. Right now I got it set up where URLs can go onto Twitch. YouTube, it's different. I actually have to literally give people wrenches in order to be able to post URLs into the chat box.
Oh, and by the way, if you're not clicking on that little square $sign at the bottom of my super chat and holla holla let it rain dollar bills for me right now, it's possible that you might die. I'm just going to put it out there. It's possible.
Yeah, and as is my general stance on moderation is I'm only giving you the wrench to post links, NJ Diver, and I don't want that really being used to censor people, because as is, I view the ability to chat as much as possible, but just keep in mind, if you're posting something that goes against the YouTube terms of service, that is on you, and if you get banned for it, that is on you. So... but we might as well go ahead and end this out. We are 11 minutes over the hour. And you guys have a good evening. I'm sure you will too, Mike, right?
Yeah, man. I'm going to go out cop watching. There's Chris has been pretending like he's making that hand gesture for pleasure in himself. Like periodically he's over there in a chair, like, and Bob's looking at me laughing, rolling their eyes going, God, man, we've heard these rants 500,000 times from you, Mike. Shut up. We need to go cop watching.
Yeah, I might go cop watching too myself tonight. The bar, I wonder if the bar scene's going to be hopping tonight. Anyway, well, okay, we're out of here, guys. Later.